So your dog doesn't come all the time when you call him. There's only three main reasons why that doesn't happen. The dog either is confused or it's faced with distractions that are more interesting to the dog than what you have to offer, and the dog doesn't respect the consequences of not coming, or there's a fear aspect in it. Now I'll talk about these. New trainers may not realize that for a dog to follow a command, it has to learn the command and then it has to generalize the command. Generalizing the command means it'll do it in all different locations. And I'll use the example of a new dog that comes into our home and we're teaching it how to sit. This is for people that haven't trained a dog before. So we get the dog to sit in front of us, we give it the high value food reward, we give them multiple food rewards, and we think the dog knows how to sit, and it doesn't. You only need to prove it to yourself by turning around like this with the dog back here and say, Fido, sit. 99% of the time, they're not going to sit unless it's generalized, that command. So if your dog hasn't generalized the come command, he doesn't understand what you're asking. Now, facing distractions. The recall is the only command that we have to finish the training steps for the recall using punishers, using pressure. Our dogs have to learn that they have to come every single time. And if they choose not to come, there's going to be consequences. How serious those consequences are, there's a lot of variables to that. How old is the dog? You're obviously not going to have a punisher for an 8-week-old puppy that would be the same as an 8-year-old dog. So how serious a punisher is how old is the dog, what's the dog's level of training, what punisher are you going to do, what did you ask the dog to do? If you just said, hey, Fido, come, and he's over here sniffing around, that's not the same as blowing you off when it takes off and it sees kids in the other yard or another dog out on the street. Different things. So it depends on the infraction the dog did. And a number of other things. I talk about them all in my course. Fear. That's an interesting one because your dog may not come or may come really slowly or conditionally because it's afraid of you. How can your dog be afraid of you? I guess the easiest way to say this is that you may have made a mistake and called the dog to you in thinking the dog generalized the command, knew what the command was, and it didn't come, and you corrected the heck out of the dog. So now the dog's afraid to come. It doesn't want to come. With some dogs, on a dog that doesn't have a real strong temperament, and a dog with a strong temperament, you give him a correction and it looks at you and it says, is that the best you can offer? But a dog that's not like that and you give it the wrong correction, too hard of a correction at the wrong time for the wrong thing, like calling him and then correcting him, don't ever do that. But if you've done it once, it may take a long time to fix that mistake that you caused. And how can it happen only once? Well, look at it like this. Let's say you're a person. How many times do you have to touch a hot stove to realize you're not going to do that again? Not even little kids touch a hot stove. They're not going to do that again. Same kind of thing can happen with a dog. We don't know what's going on with a dog's head all the time. Something may have happened that made him nervous about coming to you, and then he doesn't want to come to you. All three of these things, all three of these scenarios are fixable. The course I just finished on training your dog to come all the time is a long, extensive course, and it covers all of that. If people will follow the step-by-step training program that I show how to do it in the course, they're going to end up with a dog that comes all the time. They're also going to end up with a dog that, with luck, and if you do things correctly, is going to enjoy dog training. But it's also going to respect the word come when you ask them to come.